Hey, get back to another reaction video. So today, I'm going to be reacting to the creepiest Storytime YouTuber, which is Bubba. And Bubba's
Before the video starts,
is actually going to be the YouTuber that I'm reacting to. And now, I'm gonna react to Wanton's to grandma. Thank God she did not.
I remember I was taking a shower inside the school change rooms, and out of nowhere, my teacher ends up walking in, which was so bizarre because she walks into the shower I was in, and she comes and grabs my... She was in the boys' locker room, but let's just say things got really weird after that. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane but crazy story. So today's story all takes place back when I was in high school, and this was back in my grade 12 year. Now, in grade 12, I was a major player, and I'm not gonna lie to you, doing the Devil's Tango was
doing the Devil's Tango.
one of the main things that I was good at, but also not only that.
What do you mean by that?
I was also really good at playing video games and also playing rugby. If you guys don't know what rugby is, basically it's like a harder version of football because you don't get the nice padding that football players do. And also in my high school, we didn't have a football team. We only had a rugby team. So I remember what I ended up doing back in my grade 11 year was joining rugby. And I remember for the first year, I didn't do that bad. But in my second year, well, things got really intense because not only did I get a harder position to play in, but on top of that, a lot of people and teachers around the school started respecting me more for not only being just a basic student, but also an athlete for the school. At first, I thought it was a lot of pressure, but over time, the more I played, the more comfortable I got with it. But I remember there was this one specific day where things kind of felt really weird. Because I remember one day during practice, I was basically talking with my coach about, you know, basically a play that I wanted to do. And every time I would ask him about it, he would always turn me down. I never understood why, but I think one of the reasons was that since I only joined for like the last 2 years of high school and not for the last 4 years, he didn't think I was experienced enough to be making plays. Which, to be fair, I totally understand. I don't have the experience like all the other kids in my team did, but I still kind of understood what the game was. So me talking to him about it, it ended up just me getting shut down. And obviously I was pretty annoyed by it. But right after I got shut down, I remember one of the teachers that was actually one of my science teachers, she ended up walking up to my rugby coach in the middle of practice. She ends up walking up to us saying, "Oh, hey, Bubba. Oh, and also, how are you, mister?" The teacher's name, which I'm not going to say because of privacy reasons. What do you guys...
What was the teacher's name, Bubba? What was the teacher's name? Tell me.
What's up to today? Just in the middle of practice, Bubba was just yapping about some kind of play he wanted to do, but I told him he needs more experience. I remember at that moment, I just ended up walking away and just going back into practice because not only was he gonna just tear me down, he also disrespected me in front of my science teacher, which really wasn't cool. But my science teacher noticed this, and let's just say...
If I had a football coach that respected me and I had a science teacher, I don't think I have a football coach because I never played football before in my life. Just saying, I'll probably get tackled a lot if I play football. So, I don't think I'm gonna play football.
She wasn't happy about it because once I ended up walking away, one thing led to another. They started arguing with each other on the field, my rugby coach and my science teacher. And when I walked up to my teammates, I remember they all looked at me saying, "Yo, Bubba, why is coach mad? What'd you do, bro?" "Nothing, I swear. I was just talking to him about a play, and then all of a sudden he just getting upset at the science teacher." "Well, I mean, they're pointing at you right now. Did you like cause drama or anything?" "No, bro, I swear I didn't do anything. I don't know why they're arguing." I kept telling him this back and forth, and all the other guys were just like kind of worried. And then I remember my rugby coach ends up finally finishing the argument and walking up to the team. And when he walked up to us, I remember the rugby coach looks at me all upset and he says to the entire team, "All right, guys, today we're going to be practicing our tackles. Bubba, I want you to stand across the field, and everyone else, you guys are going to practice tackling him down. You understand? Here, Bubba, get the ball." He ended up slapping the ball to my chest, and I was really just confused. Was this like a punishment? Like, why is he doing this? And then right as I was about to say something saying, "Yo, coach, are you sure I'm the only only one. Bubba, why are you complaining? Do you want to be babied and get the science teacher to come down here and protect you, son? At that moment, I ended up kind of just standing still, and I'm like, no, sir. I don't need the science teacher. All right, perfect. Get down on the field right now. At that moment, I remember I was super annoyed and just super upset because I didn't know why, first off, the science teacher defended me, but also, why does my coach care so much? Like, did my coach have like a crush on the science teacher or something? I don't know, but I ended up going to the end of the field and basically started running into my team, getting tackled left and right. And right as I thought things couldn't get even worse, it did, because one thing led to another. It started to rain. So not only did the ground
hate the rain.
Get all muddy, but on top of that, I was getting tackled and beaten down nonstop. I remember this almost went on for like 20 minutes, and as I was getting tackled, one thing I noticed halfway through those 20 minutes was that on the bleachers on the side where the cheerleaders would usually sit, I ended up seeing my science teacher just watching me get tackled. I remember when I looked at her face from far away, she looked like she was really upset and actually felt really bad for me. And every time I looked at her, she would just basically start clapping, saying, "You got this, Bubba. Don't worry. You're amazing. Remember that." Even though she was the main reason why I'm the one getting tackled right now.
That's kind of true. Bubba, science teacher, I think you need to take it out.
This went on for another 10 minutes, and I remember afterwards, I basically was all covered in mud, totally disgusting, and it got to the point where there was mud even in my hair. I remember I walked up to my rugby coach, and my rugby coach looked at me saying, "Okay, Bubba, I think you're done for the day. You can go hit the showers. You're done here." Wait, what?
Yeah,
but practice isn't over. We still have like another like 30 minutes left. Doesn't matter. You can get out of here, I said. Start getting changed. I remember that moment, everyone in my rugby team just started like communicating with each other and giggling, and as for me, I was just upset. I didn't know what made the teacher so mad. So what ended up happening was I ended up heading over to the change rooms, and I walked in there all mad. I opened my locker, and well, I got my towel that I had in there that I actually never used because I never liked showering in the school change rooms. But at this moment, I had really no choice because, well, I was covered in mud. So I ended up going into the shower and basically started washing myself off. I remember the whole time as I'm rubbing mud out of my hair, I was just super mad at basically everything, from the science teacher to the rugby coach to my team tackling me. Like, it was definitely one of the worst practices I ever had. But right as I thought things couldn't get worse, well, they ended up kind of looking up, but at the same time not. Because I remember my science teacher ends up walking into the change room. I don't know why she was in there, but she ended up walking in, and I heard her voice going, "Bubba, are you in here? Hello, Bubba." At that moment, I didn't know if I should respond because, like, why was she in the change room? And basically, I ended up just staying silent and continuing my shower. But since I was the only one in there and the water was on, she could clearly hear that someone was in the showers, and what this teacher decides to do blows my mind. Because she ends up walking into the showers, fully clothed, and she sees me wearing absolutely nothing. Hey, I just want to say, like, I couldn't wait and I have to leave soon, but I just want to say I'm sorry. I get that, but I'm in the middle of a shower right now. Is it cool if maybe we talk about this after? Is what I told her, but for some reason, she did not care. And actually, she ended up looking down right after apologizing and said to me, "Wow, I know I teach biology, but damn, Bubba, look at you go down there." At that moment, I stood there frozen, and I grabbed my towel and turned off the shower and started basically going to get changed. But right as I thought this teacher was going to leave and get out of there, she ends up following me to the actual normal part of the change room where the lockers were, and she just watched me get changed. But right before I could put on my underwear, she ends up coming up to me and kissing me. She started to make out with me, and she ended up grabbing my eggplant, doing the duvel. Kind of crazy and super bizarre, but at the same time, like, I never knew she had that kind of interest in me. From there, I remember me and her, we ended up doing the Duvels Tango for like 20 minutes, but then practice ended up finishing, and I remember hearing a...
Okay, I think I'm quitting. I cannot.
Before the video starts, I just want to say a quick welcome to everyone watching.
Oh my. This one's called Got Invited to the One Diddy Party. Do you even know about a Diddy Party?
I remember me and my friends, we ended up going to this party, and right as we walk in, we start looking around, and we realized that there was a lot of different girls there that we never seen before. And in my mind, I was really confused until I realized one of the girls went to a middle school nearby me, and that's when I noticed we were at the Diddy party. On you guys, my name is Bubba and welcome to the most disgusting and I gotta say embarrassing story ever, because this story all takes place back in my high school year, and this was back when I was 17 years old. So I was basically in my grade 11 year, I could say. Now when I was in my grade 11 year, I remember I had a car, I was considered one of the cool kids in my high school, and I would get invited to a bunch of different parties. Like for example, every time there was a party being hosted, I would usually get invited because a lot of girls would know that I was going, and girls would kind of just go because I was going, I guess. I really never understood why or how that was possible, but I guess in some way I ended up attracting women. And I remember one time I was in my social studies classroom and there was one guy in my class that, let's just say, didn't have the best reputation, because every time like he would always like flex that he was in a relationship with someone, but he
paint is kind of the same. Like he thinks he has a girlfriend, even though he knows dang well he doesn't.
never said who, and every time he would flex that he had a girlfriend and someone did ask who it was, he would always say the same thing. Oh, like she goes to another school. I never really understood why people say that. Like honestly, it gets to a point where I don't even believe that they have a girlfriend if they say that. But let's keep going with the story. I remember one time in my social studies class, me and all the guys were sitting together working on a social studies project, and then the weird guy that I was explaining about earlier walks up to us. He walks up to us and says, "Yo boys, I was just wondering, man, like do you guys want to come over to like a party that my girlfriend's having?" At that moment, we all looked at each other, me and all the guys at least, and we were thinking, before the video starts, I just want to say, I remember when my parents left the house, automatically this babysitter looked at me and said, "Baba, I want you to realize that you're the master of this house and I'm just your little toy. So you're gonna take care of me, right?" And at that moment, I realized this babysitter was sus, bro. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba and welcome back to another really insane, but I gotta say crazy story. Now, this story all takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 11 year. Now, you guys are probably wondering, wait, in grade 11, you had a babysitter? And I'll explain. You see, 2 weeks before my parents got me a babysitter in my grade 11 year, you gotta understand, I was kicked out of high school, or I should say suspended, for basically pulling the fire alarm every day of the week on finals. It was something I wasn't proud of, but I'm gonna be honest, I had to do something to get out of finals, and that's a story that's already on the channel, so if you guys want to go check that out, go for it. But other than that, after that whole crazy fiasco, my parents had no trust in me whatsoever. They wouldn't trust me to do my homework, they wouldn't trust me to go out and stay responsible for my mistakes, and on top of that, they would even give me a curfew of when I was supposed to come home. And by the way, in grade 11, you're like, what, 16 turning 17? So I guess I was still kind of a child, but still, I was able to make my own choices. At least so I thought. Going on with the story, I remember my grade 11 year, I ended up coming home one day, and my parents needed to leave. They needed to leave for like a trip they had planned on going for a while, because my parents usually like to go on trips just so they can make sure that their love stays alive. Even though their love is seriously gross, because they would always kiss in front of me and love each other in front of me and make, you know, cute baby sounds in front of me. They would always go on these random trips to basically go on crazy dates with each other because they're just adventurous like that. I really don't know. So right as I came home one day, I ended up seeing my mom packing her bags with my dad, and that's when I ended up looking at my mom saying, "Wait, so you guys are leaving? Oh, okay, that sounds good." And right as I say that, I ended up seeing another girl come out of the living room towards the front door where I was at, and out of nowhere, I was in shock because this girl was like super hot and super attractive, but I had no idea who she was. And right at that moment, I remember this girl looks at me and says, "Oh, you must be Bubba. You're the guy I'm taking care of, right?" And when she said taking care of, I was in major disbelief. I was like, "What? Mom, Dad, did you seriously get me a babysitter? I'm in grade 11. Bubba."
That's what I'm saying. Heck, who needs a babysitter when you're grade 11?
You're not paying attention in school. And honestly, this is your last chance at school or you could get expelled. So we're going to make sure you do your homework here too. At that moment, I was really upset because like, I get it. I wasn't the smartest guy on the planet, but there was no way, no actual way they were going to make me have a babysitter in my grade 11 year. I remember I was super annoyed and super upset and I just didn't know what to think. But my parents, they didn't even want to argue with me about it. They ended up just getting their bags and putting it in the car and leaving. Right as my parents left though, I remember I closed the front door in just major shock. Like I was seriously flabbergasted. And right as I turn around and look at the babysitter, she was just staring at me super weird.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, drop a like and subscribe. If I could do, make comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, buddy.